I used to believe information was the only thing I need in order to achieve success, income, impact, and fulfillment. That's why I worked so hard to gather as much information as possible. And I got my undergraduate. After that, I got a 2 year master degree. After that, I got a 4 year PhD. And after that, I became a college professor and I taught in the classroom for 10 plus years. I got so many awards and so many publications presented at so many top tier conferences, presentations, all of that, only to discover that I did not have the success that I was hoping for when I was a little kid. So what was missing? In this video, I want to share with you after I spent 20 plus years working in education, coached, worked with hundreds of young people, helping them achieve their goals and procrastination and self-doubt, become successful in life, and helping myself get out of the state that I was disappointed in and finally achieve the success that I was hoping for. And I created a really powerful, tested, and proven 4I system. And this system, once you implement the system, this system will help you to help your kid, teenagers and young adults, high schoolers, college students, and college graduates achieve whatever goals they have in school, in career, personal relationship, sports, extracurricular, achieve whatever goals they have for themselves and have the life that they deserve without wasting 20 years to try to figure this out. So that is the intention for this video. And if this is what you are interested in learning more about, please keep on watching. So here we are, how to help your kid achieve their goals and success. First of all, I want to share with you guys that I have a visitor here. Here. You want to say hi? Okay, so hopefully he's staying home. That is my 4 years old. And so here is the agenda for this training. So I have 3 sections for you. The very first one is 3 common myths regarding goal achievement and success. The second part is my 4I tested and proven system that can really help you to help your kid, teenagers, and young adults achieve their goals and have the success they deserve. And finally, I will end this training with a big idea and takeaway for your kid. I also have a PDF that comes with this training that you can download for free. Just click on the link and download the PDF and let me know what you think. Okay, so 3 common myths regarding success and goal achievement. The very first one, this is such a common mistake, and this is the mistake that I made when I was a student. So this is number 1, information does not lead to transformation. So many of us, we think the reason that our kid is struggling with procrastination, with self-doubt, is not doing the homework, all of that, we think the reason that our kid is like that is because, is because they do not have information. We see this as an information gap. So what do parents do? And I have had hundreds of conversations with parents who reach out to me to try to help their kid. So something in common that parents will do is, again, I'm not saying this to criticize anyone. I'm just using those as examples. We will purchase a poster, put the poster on their desk, on the wall as a reminder, growth mindset, fixed mindset. This is what you should do, believing that this information will help our kid. Or what else do? We purchase books. How many of us are guilty of purchasing a book and having the book on our desk, collecting digital dust or collecting dust or digital dust? Like, I'm guilty of this myself, right? And so it is not like, just because we have invested in the information doesn't mean there is a guaranteed transformation. So information does not lead to transformation, even though so many of us, we believe the reason our kid is struggling with whatever is because of this information gap. So we invest in information gap. It is good that we actually invest in the information gap. However, it is only the very first part of an entire system to actually give your kid the transformation, the change that you hope for. And so what I have here is so many of our kids, they actually do know what they need to do. However, they do not implement. So let me say this to you. Your kid does not have an information gap. They do have a transformation gap. Information, transformation, there is a gap. And what I do as a coach is to really help every single young person close that gap. So one of my favorite quotes really illustrate this is this one. If more information was the answer, then we would all be billionaires with perfect apps. Right? How true is that? So yeah, like I actually have an example here. When you look at the diet industry, I just did a quick Google search before I record this video. There's so much information. I'm not even talking about crappy information. There's so much like podcasts, ebooks, documents, YouTube channels, high quality information taught by industry experts. Very good. However, when you look at, I'm based in the United States, when you look at our country in the United States, so millions of Americans are struggling with health challenges. So is this an information gap? No. So all of us, we know what to do. So we do not. The problem is not an information gap, it's a transformation gap. So that is myth number one regarding goal achievement and success. And I feel safe to make the prediction. It is likely that your kid does not have an information gap. Your kid probably does know what to do, even though that parents, because we love our kids so much, we treat the problem as if there was an information gap. So that is common myth number one. The second myth that people do not understand regarding success and goal achievement is this one. So almost all of us, we know that practice makes perfect. However, that is incorrect. Practice does not make perfect. Practice makes permanent. Please let that sink in for a second. So I have the image here. Practice doesn't make it perfect. Practice makes it permanent. So I have an example here. So if every day, so one thing I help the young people in my coaching programs to really help them end procrastination and end self-doubt. So regarding procrastination, for example, if your kid, their routine every time after they come back home from school or from work, their daily practice is procrastination, avoiding the important task that they don't want to do, but they have to do, and constantly doubting themselves and constantly being on their screen or snacking nonstop. If that is what they practice, guess what? That practice does not make your kid perfect. It only makes those daily routines permanent. On the other hand, if you practice different things, right? Focus, courage, follow through, take ownership, being resilient, discipline your environment, have a healthier relationship with technology. All of those are the things that I coach my students to achieve. So if you practice the second scenario, in that case, practice will make your kid perfect. So you are actually practicing the good thing, right? So a better way to interpret this is practice doesn't really make perfect. Practice makes permanent. If your kid is practicing good habits, that is incredible. On the other hand, if your kid is practicing the wrong habits, so unfortunately, your kid is only becoming better at being wrong. So in this case, what your kid needs is actually not more practice, but more deliberate practice. There's a huge difference between practicing and the deliberate practice. So I actually have the definition here regarding deliberate practice. So you can see here, so deliberate practice, so I got the definition here, and it's a very structured, very intentional, very purposeful approach and for skill development. And as a learner embark on this journey, there is a clear game plan and there is immediate feedback. And based on the feedback from a coach, from a parent, from a mentor, based on the feedback, you go back to the implementation and you do more practice, you get more feedback, you go back and you kind of recycle this process. You're very intentional. You are not just practicing. Like, for example, so one thing I work with my students is that, so I have a very elaborate habit tracker. Why do I have that? Because oftentimes I ask my students, are you being productive after you come back from work, from school, from sport practice? And they will tell me, yeah, I think I'm very productive. I feel like being productive. However, something that my students always hear from me is that we do not practice decision making based on feelings. We practice decision making based on data, based on logic, based on evidence. So one thing I do with them is we create a habit tracker. So they literally track their activities after they get back home from work, from school, from whatever, on an hourly basis. So now they have the data, they have the logic, they have the evidence. They can really see, oh my gosh, I actually spend so much time on Instagram, on TikTok, literally doing nothing. So then I will give them feedback. So I will show them, hey, now we have this data, we have this evidence. What can we do? What are some changes that we can implement? How can we discipline the environment instead of just relying on your willpower, which doesn't work? On my channel, I have so many videos teaching you guys why relying on willpower doesn't work. So definitely check out this video here or any of the videos on my YouTube channel. And so I'll give them that feedback. So they will implement the feedback and they engage in this deliberate practice. The end result is that they will end procrastination and become so much more productive. So that is a quick example. This is very common in sports. My oldest son is a fencer, so he will frequently record himself fencing, and we will send the video to his coach. His coach give him some advice. He will implement the advice. He will make more mistakes, record more videos, get more feedback. So deliberate practice. Hold on for a second. He's being too loud. Yeah. And so this is deliberate practice. So this is the second myth. Okay. So stop telling your kid, just practice more, just practice more. What is your kid practicing? Is your kid practicing being good or practicing being bad? Because whatever they are practicing, it becomes permanent. Once this habit, this belief, this routine, this way of thinking and doing and being becomes permanent, it is so much harder to stop and change. So that is the second myth. Practice does not make perfect, but only makes permanent. The second one is this is one of my favorite books, The War of Art. And so this book actually came out, written by Stephen. Wow, look at that. Written by Stephen Pressfield. Let me know in the comment section, have you ever read this book? What do you think about this book? And I really love this book. And so The War of Art, even though the book that came out in 2002, it's still so relevant. So I have lots of friends who are creators, who are entrepreneurs. This is a must read in my circle. Like, yes. And so highly successful. And the book sold 1 million copies and translated into quite a few different languages. So in this book, Stephen introduced a really popular concept called resistance. Okay, the big R, resistance. So what I'm trying to say here, so here we're talking about 3 common myths regarding success and goal achievement. So here's the myth. So many parents, they think successful people do not have resistance. And that is incorrect. Successful people and highly achieved people have resistance too. If I can use myself as example, I am maybe not highly successful. I have definitely achieved success. Earlier I mentioned I got master, I got PhD, academic publications, spoke on so many conferences, awards. I was Advisor of the Year award at my university among hundreds of teachers. And I recently got University Distinguished Alumni Award from the University of Maryland for my PhD. I also got a Distinguished Alumni Award from the University of Colorado, Denver for my undergraduate. I was interviewed by Forbes. I recently did a keynote at a very elite school in the DC area, and I was also interviewed by Katie Couric and so many other media features, collaborations with Inside Higher Education, Pearson Education. So I'm not highly successful, but I have achieved success, and I will say this for sure. I have resistance, and the best case in point is my YouTube channel. For those of you who follow me, thank you so much. By the way, last year I was 80% consistent. Okay, the last year from April to August, I was 80% consistent with my YouTube channel. Then we had a big family change. We moved from one district to another district, and so many things happened. I just lost my momentum. And so every time when I was trying to record a video, I just felt this resistance. Oh, maybe tomorrow, I don't want to do it. I have to unpack the boxes. I have to homeschool the kid. I have to coach a kid. I have to prepare for my keynote. It's like excuses after excuses, reasons after reasons. So let me tell you, everybody has this resistance. So what is this resistance? I really love Stephen's definition of resistance. So what is resistance? Is this universal this internal force that kind of just stop you from doing the most important and meaningful work. This internal drive. Hey, why don't you have a snack? Why don't you chill a little bit? Why don't you read a book? Why don't you spend some time on your phone, right? So this internal resistance is manifested as fear, self-doubt, and self-sabotage, perfectionism, procrastination, fear of failure, all of that we're really familiar with. So the root is really that resistance. And so in this book, there's a really powerful metaphor regarding this resistance. And so I love this. So he used this, Stephen used this tree and shadow. So here's the tree. The tree represents our dreams, our goals, aspirations. And the shadow is the resistance. So the bigger the goal, the bigger the shadow. So good, right? Like I still feel I just love this metaphor so much. Can you relate to this? Think about a big goal that you have for your kid, for yourself, for your work, for your relationship, for your spirituality, whatever it is. Have you ever encountered this internal resistance to do what you need to do, but you really don't want to do it? I think if you are being honest with yourself, all of us. So if all of us have it, our children have it too, especially because their thinking brain is still not fully developed. So here's the problem. And so many times, if your kid has goals and dreams, even like vague ideas regarding they want to do, they are going to have that resistance. So many of my students, they want to become the next Mr. Beast. They want to have an incredible YouTube channel. But so few of them actually took the time, energy, and effort to actually record a video because of this resistance. So oftentimes when resistance happens, parents, the students, they feel like, I'm just so lazy. I'm just such a loser. I just like, all of those internal beliefs are incorrect. Those are stories, those are excuses that we tell ourselves to stop us from embarking on this journey. So all of those are really great examples for resistance. So what do? Let me say this. As long as your kid has dreams, goals, aspirations, like my oldest, I shared earlier, he's a fencer. So he has some really big goals as a fencer. Let me tell you, do we witness this resistance on a daily basis? Okay. Do I want to relax right after a whole day of school? Who doesn't want to relax, right? So he has to do homework. He doesn't want to relax, but daily physical training. And he spent his entire winter break competing at different fencing tournaments. And he also did like a winter camp. Was there resistance? Heck yes. If I didn't know this, I wouldn't be able to support my kid. Because the work I do, I feel so thankful that this is my calling and I love doing this, that I'm able to support my kid, to support every single student in my coaching program, to help them normalize the resistance. You are having resistance, and guess what? Me too. Guess what? This person too. That person, yes. All of the successful people you watch on TV, you see on social media, every single one of them, they have resistance. This is normal. Resistance is an indicator that you are stepping outside your comfort zone. It is an indicator that there is a tree, meaning that you actually have a pretty big goal. So normalize that. And at the same time, understand we cannot get rid of resistance. I guess the only way that you get rid of resistance is that you do nothing. You have no goals, no dreams. I think that is a way bigger problem actually than actually learn how to work with resistance. So you cannot get rid of resistance. You must learn how to work through the resistance. And that's exactly where coaching support can make a huge difference. Okay, so those are the three. So let me here. So we just discussed a quick summary here before I share with you the 4I system. We discussed 3 common myths regarding resistance. Information does not lead to transformation. Practice does not make perfect. And third, even successful people, highly successful people, they have resistance. Resistance is not an indicator of being lazy, being stupid, something wrong with your kid, or something broken with your kid, nothing like that. Resistance means that you have a really healthy kid who actually has a big goal in life. So celebrate that. Okay, so now let me share with you my tested and proven 4I system to achieve mastery, achieve success. This is what I use to achieve success in my own area, what I use to help my own children, and what I use to coach every single student in my coaching program. This is my 4I framework. So starts with information, implementation, iteration, and internalization. So let me explain each of them. So the very first one is information. So this is where you really understand, gain that clarity, internal clarity, self-awareness. Who am I? What do I really want? Okay. So who am I is that internal clarity, and what do I really want is that external clarity. Once you have the clarity at those levels, then you can do a self-assessment. Do I actually have the knowledge? Do I actually have the skill gap in terms of this specific area? So that is information. Okay. This is where the diet industry and every single industry, this is where most people spend the most amount of time, energy, they invest in information. But you can see from this framework why investing information alone does not lead to mastery, does not lead to success, because you are missing the second I, the third I, and the fourth I. I'll give you a quick example. So here, as I was preparing for this training, I was like, okay, what is a story that I can share with you guys to really bring this point home? So I'm like, okay, why don't I share with you all the coaching programs that I have invested in myself since the beginning of 2017. So around 2017, I was still a college professor. At the time, I was so unhappy with myself, with my job. Because of that misalignment, I didn't have any clarity regarding what I really wanted. So I started investing in coaching program. Here is an incomplete list of all the coaching programs that I have invested. Many of them I don't even remember. Some of the coaching programs are only a few $100s. Some of the more expensive ones are $20,000, $30,000, and even $40,000. And And so the mistake I made, so I loved all of the coaching program, but I did make a mistake. The mistake I made was that I thought if I invested in myself at the information level, meaning join all the coaching programs, I would be able to have the transformation, the mastery, the success that I want. Wrong, 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 right? Just like, for example, I give you this quick example, YouTube Academy. I think I joined at least 2 or 3 different YouTube Academy. And I'm still nowhere near where I wanted to be with my YouTube channel, like from 5 years ago. So this is such a classic example to share with to show you my challenge with my YouTube journey is definitely not information. I have invested thousands of dollars in learning from the top-notch YouTube experts regarding systems. How do I grow my YouTube channel? And guess what? I'm still like kind of where I was like 5 years ago when I just started my YouTube channel. So the problem is not a lack of information. I know exactly what I need to do. The problem is the second I, implementation. Information, remember this quote we discussed earlier, right? If information was the answer, all of us would be like perfect shape billionaires. That was my mistake. So please do not make my mistake. And information, and you can invest in, that's why, so in my coaching program, I know there are coaches who just sell you a course. I don't even do that anymore. The only way for your kid to be coached by me is to do one-on-one interactive talking coachings. Not that here's a course, go watch the course, because I wasted. I'm not blaming the coach. It's definitely my problem. I wasted so much money just purchasing a course, hoping that information will give me the transformation. And I was really, really wrong, because information makes me more knowledgeable regarding the issue, but definitely did not give me the transformation because I wasn't implementing. And this is where we were talking about early deliberate practice with that intention. So, for example, using YouTube channel, right, or using the procrastination example I shared with you, I literally have my students track their daily action on an hourly basis, and they will actually send their tracker to me. Actually, we use a Google Doc. They don't even need to send it to me. So the Google Doc will be automatically updated every time my student enters their data, so I can see. So I'm literally giving them immediate feedback, and based on my feedback, they are going to make additional changes, and I see the result. I give them more feedback. It's literally this really, really healthy loop. They give me data, I give them feedback. They give me more data, I give them more feedback. So this is a healthy cycle that goes so much deeper than here's a book, read the book, and good luck. Here's a course, watch the video, good luck. That's why many of you ask me, do I have a self-paced video course that you can watch? The answer is no, because I know even though selling a course like that will make me money, but it's not going to give you the transformation that you're hoping for your kid. I hope this is landing. Okay, so that is the second I, implementation, where you actually start to apply the information, but not only applying. Remember, practice doesn't make only makes permanent, doesn't make perfect. Not only applying the information, you really have to gain that immediate feedback from an expert, from someone who knows what they are doing, from someone who has a journey, who has a roadmap for success, who knows what they're doing, who knows some potential challenges, roadblocks ahead of your kid's journey, so that this person can really help your kid. So deliberate practice with intention, with a roadmap, with immediate feedback. And then this is where, so practice, feedback, improvement. And this is kind of also naturally going to the third I, which is iteration. Repeat, reflect, and refine. And so that's kind of what I'm doing with my YouTube channel. And so after every single video, I will actually watch my own video, and then I get some feedback. Then I improve, I implement, I iterate. So naturally, every video I'm becoming more and more comfortable, hopefully getting better and better and better. So this is also the process I did for, like you can see from here. I did lots of life coaching certifications and training coaching program. That's kind of what we did. So for and our coach will record us doing a live coaching session. So after that session, an expert will look at the video, give us immediate feedback. Hey, Dr. I, this is really good. Keep it. This is really not so good. Stop doing that. This is how you should improve. So I get that feedback. I implement to my next coaching call. I record myself, send to my coach. We iterate this process. This is also the journey that I went through when I was a college professor. So this picture was kind of old, and this was actually a Snapchat story sent to me by one of my students. Really sweet of her, said that amazing teacher, give me a shout out. So I really appreciate that. But anyway, so this is my entire teacher's journey. I still remember when I first started teaching at Syracuse University, which is based in the United States. My very first class, I was like, I was so stressed. Never taught for a day in my entire life. Now I had to teach. I was very, very stressed. So for our teachers training, and we did this entire process. What we did was that our teacher, so the professors give us the seasoned professors give us some information. We got a book, what to do, what not to do, success tips. And so we implement, and I teach the class, and then the class was being recorded, and then I have to watch my own recording, even though I hated watching my own recording. One is it was so bad. Second, I was not used to hearing my own voice. Now I'm so much more comfortable hearing my own voice. Back then, this was 20 years ago. I was like, I couldn't stand it, but I had to do it. And if I want to keep my scholarship at Syracuse, I was like, okay. So I literally went through this process, learn something, implement, apply to the classroom, record myself, send it to my professor, give me some feedback, information, implementation, iteration, until it kind of internalize. And if you have a kid who is an athlete, you can really resonate with this. This is where we call the muscle memory, right? So I'm reading another book right now, and it is fascinating. It is mentioned in the book through research that muscle memory actually responds faster than our thinking brain. Meaning that, so imagine if you have an athlete, and or if you have a kid who competes a lot, like my children, many of the students I work with. So if their muscle memory is so good, so in very stressful situations, they don't even have to think. Their body knows what to do. And that is internalization. That is muscle memory. That is you or your kid becoming the person that they want to becoming the person who automatically does the good moves. And so I have another example here, like in case you don't have an athlete in your family. So here, this is also something common I hear from my students all the time. Their New Year resolution. One of them is that they want to read more books. And so eventually, so I coach them. So this is the process that I coach my students through in my coaching program. And so eventually the goal is not to read more books. What is the goal? The goal is actually become a reader. Why? Because that is at the identity level. You have internalized this so much that you literally become that identity. Because if you are a reader, what do readers do? They read, right? And I'll give you another example. My kid again is a fencer. The goal is now to do more practice every day. The goal is to become an elite fencer, because once you embody that identity will drive you to do the things you need to do. My goal is to become an elite coach, right? So I embody that identity. It is who I am. So what do elite coaches do? They invest in high-level coaching support so they can continue to grow. They attend the training. They engage in professional development. They never stop learning. They read books. So I do all of that. They do speaking engagement. So it is who I am. Who are you? I'm an elite coach. So again, it's not to do more of this, but to really become that person. So this identity is actually driving my day-to-day action, it's driving my transformation, it's driving my steady growth. And so here you are. This is the 4I process. I give you so many examples, personal stories from my students, from myself. This is the students, how I transform my students from being a procrastinator to eventually become a really driven person, from a drifter to a driven person, from procrastinator to someone with motivation, from someone feeling like an imposter to someone with confidence, to really internalize that, to go through this journey. Really, really powerful. Okay. So this is my 4I tested, proven framework, tested on hundreds of young people, including myself. And then in the beginning, I shared with you, this is our last point. I told you I'm going to give you one big idea or takeaway for your kid. So are you ready for the big idea? So here's the big idea. And this is the big idea for you. So if you are really serious about helping your kid achieve success, so what you really need to do is that you must gain 100% clarity regarding your kids' journey, where they are at right now, and is the challenge that your kid is having right now, is this information gap, meaning that they don't have the information, then you need to invest in the information, or is this an implementation gap? You do have the information, but your kid just doesn't do this. Or is this a iteration gap? This is where that resistance, right? I have achieved some success, but success is becoming so boring, meaning that I just need to keep doing the same thing over and over. This is the case for athletes, right? I just need to do the same physical training every day. Even for me, what I do has become a lot more repetitive. Like I coach my students regarding the same thing. I do the same training. I read similar books. It is becoming very repetitive. This is where success is getting hard. And I still remember one book I read. This was quite a few years ago. The author said something that really surprised me, shocked me. That even to this day, I still remember what he said. He said, "The biggest killer to success is actually boredom." I was like, what? Meaning that people, once you have success, so you just need to keep doing the same thing, same repetitive task, and you really get bored from doing the same thing over and over and over. Like for me, even talking about this, like I look excited, but this is the 100th time that I'm talking about this. To me, it is not that exciting, but I have to be excited about something I repeat all the time, right? It can be really boring. I think that's one of the reasons that I struggled with my YouTube channel, because like I'm teaching this to my students every single day. I also need to teach this on YouTube channel. Like I want something different, right? And so this is that resistance. This is where the tree and the shadow, the bigger the goal, the bigger the resistance. So this is where this shows up, and you need to ask yourself: does your kid have a iteration gap? Or does your kid have that identity, that internalization gap? This is where they really need a high level support, right? So you really have to gain clarity regarding what is the root challenge for your kid: information gap, implementation gap, iteration gap, or internalization gap. Because at every level, there are unique challenges, and the investment needs to be different. Or maybe your kid needs all of that, and then join my coaching program. Because that's exactly what I walk every single kid through. We start with the information, implementation, I give them feedback. There's that iteration and the internalization, becoming that person at an identity level. So, right, so you really need to gain that clarity, because every level has unique challenges, has unique solutions. And I do have, I mean, talking about my program, if you are interested in having your kid work with me, this is one of the frameworks that we use in my entire coaching program. Because in my coaching program, we have three core components. One is this achievement, success, motivation. Another one, goal setting. Another aspect is self-doubt and reclaiming, elevating confidence. Another aspect is gain clarity regarding who they are, what they really want, future life directions, choosing majors, all of that. So 3 essays. So this is like a small slice of the entire puzzle. And so if you are interested in have your kid work with me one-on-one, we only do high level one-on-one coaching. It's not just about information, but the entire journey. And so in the description, there is a link that you can use to book a one-on-one clarity session with me. You'll be speaking with me. So in that session, we are going to map out the gap, right? So really identify the gap where your kid is at right now. What are their goals, dreams, aspirations? Like here, some of them maybe even don't have, they have some vague intention. So in that clarity session, I'm going to help you gain more clarity regarding what does your kid really want in life, and there's that gap. So I'm going to give you a game plan to close that gap. Okay, life changing session, free. And so spots are really limited, only for serious people. Okay, and so once after that session, you will have a really clear game plan to really help your kid. If you want our help, my help to implement the game plan, I will tell you more about our coaching program, and you can join the coaching program if you are not interested in working with me. So the game plan is yours forever, that you can figure out how to implement yourself. Okay, so that is the training for today. I really hope you enjoy this, and give me a share or like a comment. And if you know another parent whose kid is struggling with achieving their goals, achieving success, please share this video. I believe this video can change another person's life. And so as I said earlier, in the comment section, there's a link for you to download my PDF that comes with this training. So in that PDF, you will see all the reasons. You'll also have my 4I framework. So keep that. That's my gift to you for showing up, for investing in yourself, investing in your kid, by paying me your time. So I appreciate that. And thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in another video.